Hello, I'm grossbeet. It's grossbeet time. So I have this little project that I kind of just whipped up in a few minutes. Yeah. So basically, with grossbeet, each this little window within grossbeet. Let's get a fresh one up here. This window represents this amount of time. It's a measure, I think. I don't know the actual words for it. So yeah. This line, or rather wherever the line is at the time, represents um, the time, I guess. So if I were to do this and step it for each this, it will loop. Oh man, it'll loop just this part, or just this part over and over again, like. So, because of that, or not because of that, basically this little line, the diagonal one, it represents nothing. It stays at the starting point of the measure for the entire duration of the measure. So no sound will happen. And then you can go below it. If you go below it, it will pull from the measure before it. So the first measure won't make any sound, but the second will. Yeah. And so if it is going at a lower angle, or at a smoother angle than the line, or a smaller angle than the line relative to it being straight, it will pitch it down slightly while making it move slower. So if you do it at exactly half of what the angle should be, or what the angle is down here, it moves at half time. Basically pitching it down an octave, which is kind of interesting. So that, yeah. So it's a pretty powerful tool when used sparingly. So currently, I'm gonna turn this one all the way off. I have two that I set up specifically for this. So this is without, and then with. So basically, what this is doing. So for this brief little time right here, this brief little time right here, it is setting it back at the start relative to the measure it's on. So it's putting it back at the very, very start of the measure, right here. And if I were to move, if I were to move this down to here, down to the line, it would do the same thing. It would start over from the top of the measure. But when you get curves in there, when it is going down faster than this line here, it causes it to move backwards. And depending on if it is above or below the line, it will either make sound like this, or it will not make sound for the first measure and it will pull from the measure before it. So the first measure won't make any noise, but the second will. Not a pleasant noise, but a noise nonetheless. So as far as automating goes, because what I use it pretty sparingly. So I'll just find where I want a gross beat. So I kind of like the first one, just without gross beat. But I kind of want gross beat on the second one. Oh, so this gross beat is just a little. It's just kind of a little flare, I guess. So create automation clips for both of them. You're gonna want it on hold, so then it just hard fades it to the gross beat, because it sounds really weird when it's being brought in. Like, it blends very odd. So yeah, I just turn it on for one measure, and then I want this one on the last measure. Versus without gross beat. Yeah, so it's an interesting tool. I don't really understand this whole aspect of it. This weird little curvy boy. Oh, that's just a visual representation of how it moves. Oh, so attack and release, I don't really understand. I imagine it is for this. Oh, the orange side is just volume, so it's... Ooh. Oh, I have to have gross beat on for that to work. That makes sense. So... there we go. Yeah, it's literally just volume. There's some really cool default gates in there. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. That is my understanding of gross beat. It's very surface level, but it's there, and that's how I use gross beat.